What is up, math superstars? In this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, we're going to be talking about histograms with other types of graphs. So here we're given this problem. It says this stem and leaf plot shows the high temperatures for a city over 20 days. And so here we're given our stem and leaf plot. And the question is, which histogram represents the same set of data? And so with a little refresher on a stem and leaf plot, the stem is our tens place and the leaf is the ones place. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to take the stem and leaf plot, we're going to get the data, and we're going to use the intervals that are given to us here to figure out which histogram matches the stem and leaf plot. And so first step is, let's go ahead and rewrite the intervals here. This is going to help us out. So let's rewrite 60 to 64, 65 to 69, 70 to 74, 75 to 79, and 80 to 84. And so right now we're going to create a frequency table for the data, and this is going to be our step to bridge the gap between the stem and leaf plot and the histogram. And so we're given some data here. So our first data point is 62. So we get that from the 6 and we take that first 2. So 62 is in between 60 and 64. So let's go ahead and put a little tally mark there. So our next point is 64, and we're going to put a tally mark in between 60 and 64. And then we have a whole series of data between 60, looks like between 65 and 68. So we have 65. That gives us a tally in between 65 and 69. We have 67, check. Another 67, check. Another 67, check. 68 gives us 5, and another 68. And so right now we have 2 for 60 through 64. We have 6 for 65 through 69. And let's keep going. We need to get 70 to 74. So we're looking at this grouping of numbers right here. So we have 70 gets a check, another 70, 71, another 71, 74, and another 74 gives us 6 total in that category. And then 75 through 79. Looks like there's 4 data points. So 75, another 75, 78, 77, sorry, and then 78 gives us 4. And then between 80 and 84, we have 80 and 82. So we have 2 data points there. So now we're given this frequency table. We're going to focus on how big the bars need to be. And so let's take a look at letter A here. So letter A, 60 to 64 should have 2. And then 65 through 69 has 6. That matches. 70 through 74, this one has 4. And so we can already say that A is out because A does not match. So let's go ahead now and try letter B. So we're letter B right here. So our first data point, 60 to 64, should have 2, but this one has 3. So that's out. Let's check out C and D. C starts off with 4. That doesn't match. And last one, let's double check all of these. We know that it should be our correct answer, but let's just go ahead and double check and walk through all the steps. So 60 to 64 has 2. 65 through 65 through 69 has 6. 70 through 74 has 6. This is matching up nicely. 75 through 79 should have 4. And 80 through 82 has 2. And so you can see here, we took our stem and leaf plot. We made a frequency table from the data. And then we just found out which histogram matches this data here with the stem and leaf plot. So we can say that D is the correct answer. So what happens if we're given something like this? It says the amount of items that each student sold for the class fundraiser was recorded. And it says which circle graph represents the same data in the histogram. And so here we have the number of items across the bottom. We can tell that from the key. And then we also have the number of students who sold those items. And so let's just get some quick data here. So we have 7 students sold 0 to 14 items. And then you have 3 students sold 15 to 29 items. Another 3 students sold between 30 and 44. You have 1 student sold between 45 and 59. And then you have 6 students, bing, 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 who sold between 60 and 74 items. And so now we have this histogram data, we need to figure out which circle graph matches that. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out which piece is biggest and then work our way down. So we can say that 0 to 14 should be the biggest piece. So I'm going to put number 1 right there. Our second biggest piece should be 60 to 74. And then we have a tie for third for 15 to 29 and 30 through 44. And our smallest piece should be 45 to 59. So let's go ahead and figure out which circle graphs match this data here. And so when we look at F, when we look at letter F here, the circle graph, we can see that the biggest piece is 0 to 14. Our next biggest piece should be 60 to 74. So this graph is matching up nice here. And then we have a tie for third, 15 to 29. So these two, 15 to 29 and 30 through 44, they're both exactly the same, and the smallest piece is 45 through 59. So we know that letter F is the circle graph, but let's take a look at the other ones to kind of figure out what's going on with these. And so here for let's go letter H. So letter H, our biggest piece is 60 through 74. So we know that should be the second biggest piece. So that's why we can cross that one out immediately. We can look at J and do the same exact thing. We know that 60 through 74 should not be the biggest piece. And if we look at G, so G, we have 0 to 14 is the biggest piece. So that works out. Our second biggest piece is 60 through 74, so that also works out. But where it falls apart is this section right here, where you have 3 equal parts here. And so we can see that these should be exactly the same number, which they are not. So we have 2 that are bigger than the third piece. And so with these types of questions, be very careful and make sure you go through all of the pieces of the circle graph to see if it matches with the histogram.